Delivering this week's must-watch workplace storylines, this is Bloomberg Law's Punching In, for those of you listening in Washington and across the globe.
Welcome, and thanks for punching in with us today. I'm your host, Hassan Kanu, here to give you a rundown of what to keep an eye on this week in the labor and employment space. We'll go first to my colleague, Jaclyn Diaz, who's been doing some reporting on gig workers. That, of course, includes people like Uber drivers, folks in food delivery, but it's actually a much broader category than that and covers temporary workers, contractors, and the like. So, Jaclyn, tell us what is going on at the DOL concerning gig workers.
So a lot of sources I've spoken to this week said not enough is going on. A lot of them have pointed out that the lack of benefits for gig workers is a serious problem, especially given the growing retirement crisis going on right now. Ideally, they'd like some sort of rulemaking or some kind of legislative work done by Congress to kind of push this issue forward. For example, Senator Mark Warner, a Democrat from Virginia, he introduced a bill last week that kind of experiments with providing portable benefits for gig workers. So something like that.
And when you say benefits, are we talking insurance or what benefits specifically?
We're talking healthcare insurance, healthcare, and retirement, especially some pensions for gig workers.
All right. So, and you've reported that the business groups are still pushing for something out of DOL. What are the odds there? What might get Secretary Acosta to act in this area?
Some sources said that maybe if Secretary Acosta gets some other regulations pushed out of the way, this could be a priority in the next year. But given all of the work they have ahead of them, they don't see anything happening anytime soon.
All right, great. We'll definitely be following up on that and checking with you again, Jaclyn, when there's a new development. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks.
Our next item takes us to some election news here as the midterms are fast approaching. Labor and business groups are keeping an eye on the race in Michigan's 7th District. That's a pretty deep red area there. It includes a piece of Lansing, Michigan, win for President Trump and candidate Mitt Romney in the last two presidential elections. Labor groups are backing Democrat Gretchen Driscoll against Republican Tim Walberg, who's the incumbent there. Now, the interest here on the union business group side is that Walberg heads the House Education and Workforce Subcommittee. That's a pretty powerful post. The committee's portfolio includes the Department of Labor, the Labor Board, pensions, education. That's the panel that also introduced joint employer legislation about when multiple companies can be held liable for their contractors' work. Walberg, in fact, led the charge on that. So that panel oversees a broad range of very important work-related issues. Driscoll is a former state representative and mayor. She has the support of AFGE and some other very large unions. Now, it's important to remember here, Walberg's actually already beaten Driscoll in the past quite easily in 2016. Some earlier polling from Democrats, though, shows that she's narrowed the lead quite a bit, so that race is fairly competitive now. Now, another key here is that labor-related issues could very well be put on the back burner, given the, let's say, unique political circumstances surrounding these midterm elections and the upcoming presidential elections. So that's certainly one to watch there in the Michigan 7. Our last item today is a bit of an update on a story from last week. Today's the last day of two-term Labor Board member Mark Pearce's time at the Labor Board, although I doubt he's actually coming in today. There's actually already been a farewell party for Mr. Pearce last week. Sources told my colleague Ty Richardson and I that some friends and colleagues of Mr. Pearce might have actually had pins on their shirts that read Chairman Forever. Pearce was board chairman there between 2011 and 17. Now that may or may not sit well with current Labor Board Chairman John Ring. And actually, it looks like my prediction from last week is about half right. As it turns out, Pearce might be back in his seat if he gets nominated. Apparently, there is a deal that Republicans might accept in exchange for renominating and confirming him to the board. Democrats and unions friendly to Pearce are offering to have President Trump's DOL nominees for several posts over there at the Department of Labor that are fairly important. And actually, the package might, interestingly, include a gentleman named Gordon Hardogensis, who happens to be Mitch McConnell's brother-in-law. So Democrats are offering to have those folks confirmed in exchange for renominating Pearce back to the board. Now, obviously, that will almost certainly happen after today. So I was right in the sense that Pearce's term will end without a renomination, but it's not entirely dead. There's still a chance he'll be back before the year's end, actually. And so we'll be keeping an eye on that and keep you up on that as well. That's it for today. Thanks for punching in, and be sure to join us next week. Have a good one.